What a boy! Where are you hiding? If you don't come here, I'm gonna tell your upon you.
Why, yeah. Why, yeah. Why, yeah. Why, yeah.
According to the census of 1860, there were over 4 million people in bondage in our country. Although some Native Americans were held, most of those enslaved were stolen from Africa.
Or born to those who had been captured and sold.
The next year, 1861, the Civil War began on April 12th and lasted 4 bloody years.
750,000 soldiers were killed, along with an unknown number of civilians. Men, women, and children. Why, yeah. Why?
This year, our country celebrates the 150th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed the slaves from bondage throughout the Confederacy.
And paved the way for the 13th Amendment in 1865, which outlawed slavery forever.
Because we the people had fought a war to decide whether we were going to be the type of country that allowed some of us to buy and sell other human beings.
Or whether we were not.
But before there was emancipation,
Before there was war,
There were voices speaking out against slavery, including abolitionist Frederick Douglass.
Outraged at an invitation to celebrate American Independence Day on July 4th, 1852. Douglass called those gathered hypocrites for celebrating their own freedom while ignoring the plight of American slaves.
At times like this, it is not the light that is needed, but the fire. It is not the gentle shower, but the storm.
We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed. And its crimes against God and man must be denounced.
I am 4 years old. I'm praying to a God I was told to believe in. I pray for sunshine, a song, and silence. By silence, I mean for the brokenness to stop ringing in my ears. By sunshine, I mean for another day, just to be sure I made it past this one. I am tired of listening to the ringing in my ears, pretending it's divine. I pray for a song to sing to myself, to keep my mind off of reality. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
I am 3 sleepless nights tired and praying to a God I want to believe in. I pray for a kind word, a soft touch, a deep breath. I pray for the strength to stand up and understand. I pray for a ring that won't rust in the rain, and one that I won't find kept in my master's jewelry box, but still echoing in my mother's fingers.
Scrawled in secret, praying to a God I can't believe in. I pray for a word that will save me, a Bible verse to call my name, a Holy Ghost to blow me some breath? God knows there's plenty of ghosts around here. One of them must be holy. Sanctity is scarce. I pray for peace, let me sleep. The blind believe because they can feel. So I close my eyes and lay out what is left of my faith. But fingers go numb. So I hum songs called psalms into my palms, hoping that they count.
And my reflection says much more than genuflection ever could. My fingers are calloused from holding on too tight to a God whose grip was slack. I've seen hell, so I know heaven must be somewhere. I pray I won't have to pray. I whisper into my hands, two sweaty palms pressed together, shaking from the silence that I've kept too long. The words that escaped my lips, frost, as they hit my lifelines.
I pray to hold on to what I have left. I don't want to be a prayer anymore. I want to be the prayer. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah,
I am property of my master. He owns me. He is the father. My master is in charge of me. Every day he gives me work that could leave me dead in the field. All day, picking, planting, farming. All for master. No work is beneficial to me, my family, or my people. We all belong to him. All work ends with tears, heartache, and pain.
On the big plantations, slaves did everything. They were wheelwrights,
Coopers, blacksmiths,
toolmakers,
Field hands,
Butchers,
Gardeners,
chimney sweep,
cooks,
Maids, guards, seamstresses,
arborists,
midwives.
musicians. I had another one of those dreams last night. This time, I was in Africa. I was far away from this godless place. I was free, and I loved it.
Bon dia, Mike. My month here in the United States has opened up my eyes to the issue of slavery. Everyone here seems to be so divided upon this topic, as if we were in our beautiful Brazil. When I arrived in the South, they thought I was a runaway slave who had come to free others. Huh. I had to show them my papers before they would apologize.
Today proves to be a wonderful morning in June. The sun shines, the birds sing, and the water on the lake ripples at the wind's touch. The cabin I live in is small but strong, and the wages I earn are all earned nobly. So there it is. All you need to be content and more, yet there are more going on in these times that can leave one in utter turmoil. You don't truly see it in the North, but we hear it from the abolitionists and the refugees from the South. If ever there was a word that hung in people's mouths, it is slavery.
Where I live, slavery is everywhere. Being white, I get by. But I'm always wondering if I can make a difference. If being a bystander of such cruelty is wrong. I've had many opportunities to state my opinion, but I keep quiet. I keep quiet for my own sake. What would happen to me if I tried talking to my many, many neighbors about how wrong I believe slavery to be?
I find it hard to believe if in this whole town no one else felt the same as me. We are all human, and humans have feelings and real pain and think about their surroundings. Surely I can't be the only one who feels guilty because they want to help, but isn't willing to risk losing their social status.
Maybe there are enough of us to make a difference, if we all come together. But standing against something as huge as slavery is even harder than it seems. Mostly, I just try to ignore it.
The warm breeze flooded my bedroom as I awoke to the smell of breakfast. It had been a good year on my plantation, and I was waiting for the end of the year financials. I was sitting at the table when my wife brought me a letter that read big bold letters on it that said plantation revenue. I had never seen so many zeros before my life. We have a good thing going here, I said to my wife.
A gift from God, she says. It's a gift from God.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired of, sick and tired of being sick and tired of, sick and tired of being sick and tired of, sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Waking up every morning is starting to feel like a curse rather than a blessing. I pray for the day when I don't wake up and my breath finally runs out. But it seems like God doesn't feel that way, because He woke me up again today in the arms of slavery Himself. I just want to belong in a world where I am seen as a woman and not as a piece of someone's fortune.
In 1860, the monetary value of people enslaved in the United States was $3 billion. More than all capital invested in railroads and factories in the U.S. combined.
I am one whipping away from breaking.
I wake up this morning and feel as if what I am doing is so wrong. My family has been buying and selling slaves since before I was born, but lately these slaves have become people to me with lives and stories. I tried to tell my husband how I felt, but he told me that property can't have feelings.
So, we run! 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 Run!
A lot of us didn't make it.
But a lot of us did.
Oh, Black Moses, come on now. Oh, Black Moses, show us how. Oh, Black Moses, won't you lead the way?
Dearest Thomas, I know what you must be thinking. It's bad enough that I know how to read and write. Why did I have to try and run away? I never would have done this if I did not think that I could make it, or that we would never see each other again. But I know that the next time we see each other, we will be reunited up north, where we shall spend the rest of our lives as free Americans.
Oh, Black Moses, show us how. Oh, Black Moses, come on now. Oh, Black Moses, won't you lead the way?
I highly doubt that you will see this letter, but if you ever read it, please know that I'm sending it from a safe place. To the first stop you'll make on the Underground Railroad. I will tell you how to find me. Follow the North Star on a night without a full moon. Travel quickly and quietly. You do remember Harriet Tubman, don't you? She'll be your companion on the road to freedom. Trust her.
Don't be afraid of the journey ahead. The next time we see each other, we will be free. Free to speak our minds. Free to have a home of our own. Free to finally be married.
Yeah, sweet Black Moses, don't give up today.
Forever yours,
Sarah.
Then the moment comes when it is time to stand and fight!
April 12th, 1861.
Americans cause change and justice, but Americans cause war and destruction.
Tainted minds forget the heartache endured. Scarred thoughts, strength is forgiven.
Division. Death. Failure.
Hope beyond measure.
No vacancy for sorrow.
Want change, want justice.
In tainted virtues. Victory is destruction. Fallen has the soul.
God loves us as one. Slavery destroys freedom.
Sometimes, on the night before a battle, we camped on the opposite sides of the same river.
And in the dark, we sang. First on one side, and then the other. And finally, we sang one song together.
A Confederate soldier wrote in his diary, I do believe that had we not have had the river in between us, the two armies could have come together and settled the war right then and there.
Two sides, one river. We share the middle ground. When we sing together, we can forget what we are fighting about and remember that we are all human.
Your song, my song, our song. A sigh for the North, a sigh for the South. Looking for a song. What would spring from our mouths? It wouldn't be about slavery or politics or land. It would be about traditions or a lover's hand.
Singing is the way to the soul and the way to the heart. On my side of the river, we sing songs that make you think with your heart. We sing soul songs.
Two different sides fighting over idiotic views. One day, when we can all take a break that is greatly needed, we build our fires and begin to settle in for the night. As we gather around that blazing light, someone starts to sing.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long, 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 a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Oh,
yes it will. Suddenly, from the other side of the river, we hear voices. Realizing we can't just across from each other, both sides begin to make their way to the river's edge.
It was the first time we had ever encountered each other off the battlefield, and we didn't know what to say. Then, another soldier steps forward and begins to sing.
A change is gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
Before anyone knew anything, we were all singing.
A change is gonna come. 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 For a few hours, we could forget the war. But we knew in the morning we had to return to our posts. Back to different worlds and different viewpoints. Back to killing each other over idiotic views. A change is gonna come.
Pride!
Shame! Hey! Guilt! Regret! Anger! Despair!
Animals!
At Gettysburg, 50,000 American soldiers died in 2 days of fierce fighting on a Pennsylvania battlefield.
At the dedication of the National Cemetery at Gettysburg on November 19, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln reminded his fellow citizens what they were fighting for.
77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and dedicated shall long endure.
We are met on a great battlefield of war to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those that gave their lives that that nation might live.
It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract.
The world will little note nor longer remember what we say here, but can never forget what they did here. It is us the living, rather to be dedicated to the unfinished work of those who fought for us, thus nobly advanced.
It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain.
That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people,
By the people and for the people.
shall not perish from the earth.
The blue and the gray, as they lay down side by side, are brothers once more.
Forgiveness is there. Underneath the destruction, their hearts full of love.
The loss that I grieve, my God will deliver strength. I will embrace change.
Brave, now fallen souls, with heartache for a new world, shall rise together.
Good things are coming. I can feel it.
One of the housemaids pulled me aside in the washroom this morning, saying there was talk about a law being passed for us to be free. One of the older housemaids, Miss Nina, she was singing hymns under her breath all day and night. Everybody saying, "We're gonna be free!" Free? How can we be free? So many thoughts run through my mind.
Freedom. I have longed for this day. A day where I can look up and finally see how blue the sky really is. How can this even be? Freedom? Where were you when we called for you all these years? When my family and friends lost their lives looking for you? Why did you hide your face away from us?
Freedom! You are here at last, and it really is nice to meet you. You are much more beautiful than I imagined you would be.
I feel that although we have just met, there isn't any way I don't know you. So hello, Freedom!
What I want to know is, what took you so long?
My dearest mother, you are far away in Brazil, but I want you to know that the United States of America has finally done something historic and something great. They have freed the slaves, and to actually watch this happen has caused me great joy.
I remember that day like it was yesterday. I had just turned 15 the day before. I was eating some leftover cake that Mama had snuck and made for me. I was sitting in the barn, hoping that no one had realized I was gone from the field for a few minutes. And just then my sister came in, and she told me that she had to gather everybody up to the big house for a special announcement from Master John.
I had no idea what was about to take place. The other night, my mother and others were singing these freedom songs like they didn't care who heard them. But I was still scared.
As we gathered at the big house to hear an officer explain that we were free, I was alone, having been separated from my family when we were sold. I've always missed my family, but I had never missed them as much as I did in that moment when mothers and fathers hugged and kissed their children in joy and celebration.
Who am I to share my freedom with? My father was hanged and my mother was sold. I have a brother and 2 sisters, but they ran away without me. I have no one to share anything with now. Who will I live with? How will I survive?
Today was the first day I woke up as a free woman, but I had my brothers and sisters and sons and daughters on my mind. Starved, whipped, sold away, and lost. I may be able to wake up free, but I'll never be able to wake up whole.
When I stand, I will stay strong. I'll find my mark and hit it head on. The chance has come to be myself, to live and serve no one else.
I stand tall and proud of what's ahead as I listen to the words that are being read. Freedom, emancipation, the shackles are gone. Finally, the dark day has reached the dawn.
My brothers and sisters that fought, that came before me and invested in the thought that all men are created free and equal, and that folks like me are finally called people.
I'm only 12 years old. My mother and father were sold when I was 8, so I'm on this plantation by myself. I will go and find each one of them so that we can be together. They say you'll receive 40 acres and a mule. Maybe we can use that to start over. I can't wait to experience life as a free person.
Dear Cicely, I don't know where you are or how you are, so I'm writing this letter to set my feelings free. Baby, I miss you, and the boys miss you too. If you are alive down there, I know you are happy to be free. You will like it up here. I hope you can come soon. I love you with all of my heart.
You don't have to ask me anything, he said. From now on, you are your own master. He lowered his hand before extending it to me to shake. I looked at it like it was a rattlesnake before I dashed out the door. I was planning to run as far from him as I could and never look back.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Emancipation was a fact, but we still had a long way to go.
Sometimes we draw what we think are good plans, but never stop to see what the outcome will truly be.
Yes, the slaves were free, but they weren't equal. And after the announcement of their freedom, they were left with nothing but false promises.
After they had been freed, where were they supposed to go?
The road to true equality is a much more complex process than signing a piece of paper. Broken promises filled the lines of those papers. Slaves were told they'd get 40 acres and a mule. They got nothing. Even today, our leaders granted voting rights in 1965 only to take them back in 2013.
use the phrase separate but equal. Now, I don't think that makes any sense at all.
It doesn't.
If two things are equal, then they should not be separate.
And freedom is subjective. You can't look at someone and know whether or not they're free, like you can distinguish blonde hair from brown.
Just because people are free according to the proclamation does not mean they're free in their own hearts and minds.
Or in ours.
What happened after emancipation has reverberated through generations, even down to modern times. There are individuals and groups with hatred in their hearts because of something that's been inherited from the past. But there is no place for it in this world anymore.
That's not the kind of country we want to live in.
Personally, I think we can do better.
I do too.
So, what's your perfect country look like?
In my perfect country, we care. There's no apathy, there's no turning a blind eye. My country is a community, first and foremost.
In my country, the elders are viewed as wise, and babies are a blessing. And we let women make their own decisions about birth control and abortion.
Children will be given free health care until the age of 10. And when adults reach the age of 55, they should receive free health care as well.
In my country, every person should be able to have the right to marry any other person because everyone is equal.
Well, in my country, there would never be an empty stomach. No parent should ever have to worry about where their child's next meal is coming from.
Food already on the plate. One thing my country cares about is arts and culture. In every city, there'll be full access to the arts for all citizens. And we'll have monthly festivals to share in our traditions.
This keeps our people civil and eliminates prejudice of any kind.
Well, in my country, people are encouraged to try a vast array of things and to travel to many places before they are forced to decide upon a major in school or a career in life.
In my country, we do not use cars, trains, buses, and airplanes as a form of transportation. Our form of transportation lies within ourselves. In other words, we walk, we run, we swim, and we skip, and as for the babies, they crawl. That's what I mean. Well, education is mandatory in my country. We want to learn literature, history, art, and a little bit of math.
We learn different languages so we can speak to people around the world.
Guten Tag, ich heiße Serena.
Guten Tag, Serena.
Hola, mi nombre es Pedro.
Hola, Pedro.
Oi, mi nombre es Mandy.
Oi, Mandy.
Marhaban, ana ismi Wala.
Marhaban, Wala.
We even learned to sign.
Love.
Love.
And peace.
And peace.
In my perfect country, there will be less money spent on war equipment and more money spent on the educational system.
Would it kill you?
Come on now.
To take an old mall that's not being in use and turn it into a 5-star shelter to help people get back on their feet. Oh, come on, because I'm talking something.
Well, in my country, every child will have the opportunity to go to college.
Without having to pay 6.8% interest on their student loan.
That's not right. It's affecting our whole generation, but nobody seems to know what to do about it.
Well, what can we do? Some of us aren't even old enough to vote yet.
You know, I don't know exactly what to do, but I do know there comes a time where you have to stand up and fight for what you believe in.
Excuse me. There are more people in this country than there are in the government. Since when does a democracy have to fight to be a democracy?
During the time when segregation was legal, I would have been one of those people placed in jail multiple times for breaking the law. And definitely used everything that said white only and been a part of the NAACP.
As humans, we all have the right to express ourselves. And if the government took that away, it'd be the breaking point for me.
I believe love is a freedom. Whether that love is given to someone of the same sex or a different skin color doesn't matter. Love is love is love is love.
Personally, I would fight for women's rights because the double standards that occur between men and women are just appalling.
Something that would provoke me to break the law would be if the discrimination against Muslims was extreme. I already feel a certain way about being Muslim in America. People look at you different and make religious slurs like you're a bomber or a taxi driver or a crazy extremist.
If Muslims were denied rights because of their beliefs, if they had been segregated or lived in camps, if they couldn't get a job or get married, I would break the law to protest that.
It blows my mind that people consider themselves to be such good Christians, but then threaten to treat others so harshly.
If I were to stand up and break the law for a cause I believe in, I would first get a lot of people to agree to help me. Because the police can't arrest all of us if they were to even find out what we were doing.
There are many legal ways we can protest, like having peaceful marches or putting up inspiring posters or signs.
Conflict and violence are not the only ways to approach situations we're placed in that we don't like. If all we can do in negative situations is act the same way, then the outcome is going to be just as bad.
What are you to do when the anticipation of what everybody expects breaks you down? What are you to do when frustration arrives in your face? What are you to do when laughing to ease every attack of pain gets old? What are you to do when anger takes over your mind? What are you to do when you have no one to call on?
When one person fights alone, he or she cannot hope to win. When he or she has supporters willing to fight to change the world, then they can succeed.
It is said to be the greatest form of thought, and if someone goes against a greater power, no matter the odds, because they feel that what's happening isn't right. It's a question of morals, virtues, and courage.
Okay, but what can we do to be part of the healing of our nation?
Of ourselves.
Of each other.
If there was a way we could help our country heal, I would love to be a part of that nation. But people are so quick to accuse and to point fingers when they don't even understand the issue.
If we could all sit down and have a national talk about what we think change really is, we would be shocked by the amount of questions and confusion that would arise.
Because slavery is such a large part of our history, we have to discuss it. And we also have to discuss the aftermath and how to shape us into who we are today. But until we discuss these issues openly, they will continue to hold us back.
So many people are quick to dismiss discussions of racism simply because it makes them uncomfortable. But we cannot blame all the hatred on a small group of troubled people. We're too afraid to have these conversations because we don't want to admit when we're wrong.
How many times can we say we the people when we mean me, myself? Amen.
If people could understand and translate how the other half lives, they would be able to really feel and empathize with the other half.
The only way to stop a country from repeating history is to never forget it.
What would it take for me to forgive my country after all that they've put their citizens through? I can't say that it's healthy to walk about and harbor hatred, but forgiveness is love, and love is not easy. Not at all. Forgiveness does not come quickly.
Healing takes time and effort.
I think yoga, meditation, and music festivals are very important in this process. People need to come together and share laughs and smiles. We all need to face what has happened in the past, no matter how awful it may be. We must listen to each other's stories and try to understand.
We all need to hold hands and love one another for who we are. No matter where you live, the color of your skin, what your beliefs are, we are all human, bound to this earth, sharing the same night sky.
We wake to the same sun and lie beneath the same moon.
This country needs healing. There is hurt here, and it is deep. It won't go away no matter how big the band-aid the media tries to stick on it is. We are scarred and we are scared. Fear of losing power, fear of change, fear of never changing.
Hush now. It's time to dream. Travel to the edges of reality and rip at the seam. And free your mind and follow no one, because your soul is too kind. And there's no need to run. And there's no need to rush, because it's time to dream. It's time to hush.
To Mr. Frederick Douglass, abolitionist and free man. Dear Mr. Douglass, I am writing to you from a time and place that you might not even be able to fathom. I am able to walk down the street not as a black man, but just as a man. Is this what you wanted? Thank you for everything, Jalen.
Dear Frederick Douglass, I was born into a world that saw me as an African American woman. A gift I was able to receive because you and others fought for me to be free. I use my freedom through my voice. Every day that I can sing, I do. Your fight for change will always be remembered. Atiana.
Dear Mr. Frederick Douglass, sir, it is an honor to be talking to you. You are an African American under God who has done so much for me and for us all. Thank you for setting us free. Sincerely, Victor.
Dear Mr. Frederick Douglass, I don't take my freedom nonchalantly. I try to remain humble and stay grateful. We have come such a long way, Mr. Douglass, but trust me when I say more change is coming. Sincerely yours, Ajane.
Dear Mr. Frederick Douglass, so much has changed. I have the freedom to express myself and be a unique individual. I am owned by no one but myself, and I am grateful for that. I have the freedom to vote, and after I turn 18, I will be voting in the next election. So thank you for all you did to make our country shine brighter than the sun. Sincerely yours, Callan.
Dear Frederick Douglass, I want to thank you for all the work that you did as an abolitionist. Your words still ring true in the ears of our present-day America. I think you'd be happy to know that it's still illegal to buy and sell people, and that no one can be discriminated against due to their skin color. There's still a long way to go before we're all truly equal, but we're working on it. Sincerely yours, Jordan.
Dear Mr. Frederick Douglass, with my freedom, I will not become a statistic. By going to jail, by having children before I'm ready, or by not pursuing a higher education. Instead, I will do the best that I can to be the best that I can. With gratitude, Justin.
My dearest friend Frederick, with my freedom, I speak on behalf of gay rights. I believe we cannot be called a nation of equals if we do not all have the same rights. You are an inspiration to me. Pedro.
Dear Frederick Douglass, I've learned that within my freedom there is no room for hate. There is only room for equality. Yours truly, Kiala.
Dear Mr. Frederick Douglass, I live to inspire all women to stand up and follow their dreams, to be proud, and to always believe in their beauty and grace. Thank you for leading the way. Walla.
Dear Mr. Frederick Douglass, opening the doors for African Americans has led to a hall full of doorways that were dusty from neglect. But believe you me, those doorways don't have a speck of dust on them any longer. Women's rights, gay rights, immigrants' rights, we are abolishing oppression of hearts, minds, thoughts, and ideas. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Serena.
The first step in all healing is acceptance.
Acceptance of who we were.
And who we are.
And who we will be.
This morning I rode the train into the city, and the etiquette is that you must stay silent and keep to yourself and not make eye contact with anyone. But what's so wrong about smiling at a stranger or talking with your new neighbors about their house or your vegetable garden? That's when we see each other as fellow human beings.
We still walk the same earth that our ancestors were on when they searched for a path to freedom.
And a bridge to us both.
And they found that bridge in us.
I think it's about telling a story, your story, because it might be the only thing that would lessen the burden in their heart.
I don't expect this world to be perfect, but I do expect people to defy the odds and demonstrate the best of their humanity.
We are a nation of believers, and I believe with courage and commitment, we can surely bring this country to a common ground and begin moving forward again.
Moving from anger to acceptance.
From apathy to enlightenment.
And all the steps in between.
Because that's the kind of country we want to live in.
A country where all men and women are created equal.
And that's what we mean when we say, of the people,
by the people, and for the people.
And that's what we mean when we say freedom.
Because we don't have to stand on different sides of the river to sing.
We can all sing together.
Tonight, we are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn bright
tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun. So if by the time the show's over and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight.